We're going to build the best football team in the SEC Conference. We're going to build the best football program in the SEC Conference.
You have now arrived at Stadium and Gale.
The kick, it's been blocked again! How about it? It's been blocked again! It's going to heave one deep down the field. It's going to be to the goal line. It's going to be gone! It's a touchdown! And the Gators have won the game! Tyree Cleveland! How about it? I can't believe what I just saw! Dropping back to throw. Pops and fires the ball over the middle. It's Story! It's Story! Got a touchdown! Story got a touchdown! Oh, man! Story's got a touchdown! Ahmad Black, in his final game as a Gator, takes it all the way home and sends Urban out the winner.
You have now arrived at Stadium and Gale.
Boys and girls, ladies and gents, welcome to another episode of Stadium and Gale. It's Corey.
Dan?
And Delatorre.
Same corner, same time, back at it. Beautiful Monday morning, 10 a.m. Bright-eyed, bushy tail. How y'all boys feeling?
I'll tell you, Corey and Delatorre sounds like a
Like a bar.
yeah, it
Nope.
sounds like a bar or maybe a sports talk show in Miami.
Like Neil.
I like that. I like that.
Yeah.
I'm sure the fans would love it. Maybe I just drop out of this. It becomes a Corey and Delatorre show.
That's what's up, man. How was y'all boys' weekend?
Mine was good. I had a friend of mine and his wife come in from Nashville for about 4 or 5 days. So we got to see them and hang out. So that was a good, enjoyable weekend yesterday. Just spent the day relaxing. Got to get my mind and body right. Playing the Cabot Citrus Farms golf course on Wednesday. So I've been looking forward to that. So teeing up around 2 on Wednesday to do that. So excited about that. Mentally, physically ready to go.
Where's that at?
They just built it. It's in an area called Brooksville, so it's about an hour north of Tampa. So the company that built it, the Cabot company that built it, just did a spectacular job. They bought an old golf course, and this is one of the best new golf courses in America. Definitely the best new golf course in Florida over the last couple of years. So excited to get out there. It's been tough to get a tee time, so bringing a client out there and gonna have a good time. Good Wednesday afternoon.
Oh,
Very nice.
bringing a client. Always a genius, a 500 IQ move. Bring a client out there.
I'll be honest with you, Nick. When the round starts at 225, then you add in a person, then you add $95 for a caddy, then you add $50 in for a tip or more, right? $50 minimum. Now all of a sudden you're starting to get in the $500 range, and you're like, either I could pay it or I could have the business pay it, and made the big brained idea to say, hey, you know what? Pass this off as old business expense.
It seems very businesslike.
Got to conduct some business out there. How's your guys' weekend?
The business of deleting beers on the
right.
golf course.
Transfusions.
Sign me up, bro. Like,
Transfusions.
y'all hiring, bro? You know what I'm saying?
Yes,
I can slam
I
some beers on the
actually am
course.
hiring 2 people right now. So if you are in the job market, I am looking to hire you.
I'm just there for the golf ride. I'm not even gonna play golf. I just want to be on the carts and slam some beers. You know, if I disappear in the woods and that smell is me, definitely. You feel me?
Definitely okay.
That smell is definitely me from the woods. I chilled this weekend, man, for the most part. Saturday, track and field consumed my entire day. Track days are long, bruh. You know, I try to hit the local ones with my son, the ones that travel afar. I can't drive 8 hours and then, you know, be on my feet chasing, you know, track events all day, bruh. So I just catch the ones that are in like the Tri-County area, or maybe Port St. Lucie and down. But he had a good weekend. Ran the 200, 400, long jump, did a field event, and then we got out of there. Didn't place in the 200 and 400, but he finished first in the long jump.
Yeah. First
Wasn't
time,
his
right?
best jump. Yeah, first time long jumping. Wasn't his best jump. His best jump, he came over the line about like just a tad bit, so he scratched. But he still blew out the competition pretty bad, bro. He got some hops. But that was my weekend, man. Track and field, and then Sunday, Pops was showing him how to fish. I think we're going to go fishing next weekend. So just family vibes, man. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm going fishing for the first time in a very long time this upcoming weekend for like a charity thing. So I have a feeling I'm going to get the old itch to get back fishing again.
Business and charity sounds so fun with Dan, man.
I'm telling you, I'm hiring. Come hang out
100%. We haven't taken the boat out in a while, bro. Just
whenever you want.
We gotta take the boat back out soon, man. Captain Dan, what'd you get into, Nick?
I got my sister and her boyfriend are in town. Baseball, did a little Saturday doubleheader. So I had the draft and baseball to keep me busy. Sunday, nice. Got a little church, then brunch with the wife. We're halfway, 20 weeks, so halfway to baby. Got to get brunch in while I can.
Got to get brunch in. Man, I'm excited for you. Very, very excited for you, Nick. Baseball. Do you want to talk about it briefly? Gators lose another series.
We got to end with baseball. Let's not start with baseball. Baseball.
Yeah, no, we'll end with baseball. That's a good point.
That should be our escape route. We can't escape baseball.
That's a good way to end it. You're right. Before, when Nick was lying, it was a great thing to talk about at the beginning of the year.
I didn't even lie. There weren't even big lies this year.
Well, whatever you said was wrong, no matter how egregious or not the lie was.
Sure.
This is outrageous.
I was hyping Sully up, but
This is outrageous.
After the second look, I don't know.
All right.
NFL draft is a hot topic. Y'all want to talk?
Yeah. Let's do that. Before we do that, let's give a quick shout out to everybody that is watching on YouTube. Please hit the like button, the subscribe button if you haven't already. Hop into the chat. Feel free to drop something witty or quippy. We normally highlight those on the show. Certainly, if you want to throw a super chat, we will definitely bring that up on the show as well. Want to give a quick shout out to somebody that is here every week. Trav Everett, who's graduating next Friday. So congratulations, buddy. Spencer is here from Spencer's Jerk and Jerky. Not sure he's still doing the jerky thing, but reach out to him. He'll give you a recipe or two
he's
to follow.
Doing some of that. Pause.
Well, you. And then Tyler, girls softball smacked UGA. The Gators did score 7 runs in the top of the 7th, I believe, to beat Georgia. We'll talk a little bit more about that. But all right, boys, let's talk a little bit about the NFL draft. Ricky Pearsall goes in the first round. We talked about it on this show a few weeks ago with Trevor Sikkema, who came on the show, said, hey, he might be a first-round guy. He gets drafted by the San Francisco 49ers with some kind of mixed reception from the fan base, but ultimately you guys surprised Ricky Pearsall went in the first round. And what are your thoughts on his landing spot?
Well, first, let me sit here. It's time for me to take accountability. I said this time last year, like, hey, I think Ricky Pearsall should go in the 2023 NFL draft because I don't know how much he raises his stock. Thought he was.
I was going to tee that up too, bro.
Thought he was a third round highest pick to 5th round, and hey, you might as well go because you're probably going to be the same player that you would be, and you don't have Anthony Richardson. That turned out to be incredibly wrong.
Yeah.
So listen, I'll give my hot takes, and when they're wrong,
we're gonna clip that one.
I'll
That's
sit
gonna be our
here
new
and say,
intro. I was incredibly wrong. That's just the new Stadium and Gale intro.
Yeah. Ricky had an unbelievable year. I think he really helped himself going to the Senior Bowl. He started playing outside more at Florida. To be able to show that you aren't just a slot receiver makes you more valuable. And then he goes to the Senior Bowl, and you've already done it now. You have it on tape, but now you're in front of all these coaches in Mobile, and you're dicing people up from outside at the Senior Bowl. So I think he did himself a world of good by coming back, obviously. So I was wrong. Ricky Pearsall came back for his senior year, improved his draft stock. Even Thursday night, I did not think he was going to be a draft pick on Thursday. I thought he would go early 2nd round. I know that the Carolina Panthers loved him. Carolina was about to pick him at 33 at the top of the 2nd round, and had somebody I know tell me that once Carolina started getting wind that San Francisco liked him, they were trying to trade ahead of San Francisco back into the first round ahead of San Francisco to get Ricky. So once Thursday morning happened, it we should have known that Ricky was going to be a first rounder. I think going to San Francisco is a great spot. You've got a great team there. It'll be interesting to see how the wide receiver room shakes out. It seems
in San Francisco.
Yeah, it seems like they're trying to trade Brandon Ayuk.
Yep.
There were rumors there. You've got Deebo Samuel as well. But Ricky's a guy that is going to find the field. One, they're financially tied to him now, but find the field in terms of he can play special teams, punt return, kick return. And they use so many kind of like wide receiver motion, gadget kind of stuff. And gadget probably is more negative than it needs to be. But getting guys in different places. And I think you saw Ricky do that at Florida. You see Deebo Samuel do that all the time with San Francisco. So I think he fits his skill set. I think he fits greatly into San Francisco. I understand their fans being like, we didn't need a receiver in the first round.
Brandon Ayuk, another Arizona State guy, caught passes from Jaden Daniels at Arizona State. I think Ricky Pearsall was on that team as well. So just an embarrassment of riches that team had, because they had what's his name from Florida State also get drafted. Johnny Wilson, right? So can you imagine 3 NFL wide receivers on that team with an NFL quarterback that was drafted second overall, and they still stunk?
Yeah, you still got to put it all together. But Hearn was definitely recruiting and he had an eye for talent and putting rosters together. Shout out to like Billy giving. I know we say these numbers, he just give them out, bro. But he definitely gave Ricky the number 1 with intentions and purpose. Came with a lot of flack. I think Ricky lived up to it. Should have been a 1,000-yard receiver. You know, we should have made an effort in that Florida State game just to get him to 1K. But you know, once he got to the bowl, the Senior Bowl, and he left after like a couple reps, I was wondering what he was hearing from scouts. You feel me? For you to go there, work out, and you put a couple guys in the blender, and it was like, yeah, I'm gonna pack it up and get out of here. He was already hearing very favorable things in this process.
That's like Calvin Johnson when Calvin Johnson showed up to the NFL Combine and was like, I'm not going to run the 40. And then sees other people running. He's like, hold on, let me borrow some cleats real quick. Run this 4.24, and then I'm going to head back out of the Combine.
Yeah. Let me do at least one. Let them know I'm still like that. You feel me? So he shows it to the Senior Bowl and improved what's on film, that he's a good route runner. He can get off the line of scrimmage. He can play inside, outside. Made some money, and the rest is history, but very deserving. I think he's going to be in the pros a very long time. He has top-end speed to go along with the precise route running that he has. You know, Billy got 2 first-rounders. The rest of this draft stunk for us, man. You can see the lack of older talent just looking at the draft. But shout out to Ricky Pearsall. Shout out to him wearing number 1, you know, going first round. That's Gator history. Huge. You feel me? Yeah, he's in the history book, so you gotta appreciate those guys, man. Shout out to Ricky. Slick Rick,
absolutely. Kingsley Eguakon is the other Florida Gator that was potentially going to be drafted. He did not get drafted. He did sign an undrafted free agent agreement with the Detroit Lions. They gave him a $20,000 signing bonus and a $225,000 base salary guarantee, which is higher than most do when it comes to signing as an undrafted free agent. So that means Detroit probably does believe in him. I would imagine that he had a few different opportunities on the table, which is why you saw him sign on, I believe it was Sunday instead of Saturday, right after the draft was over. The other name Florida Gator fans might know was Tyron Hopper, who transferred to Missouri. He was drafted in the 3rd round by the Green Bay Packers. So 91st overall. So looking back, and we were talking about this go ahead.
One take. I know we're talking about pre-show, but one take. Speaking of Kingsley, and we also talked, like what Nick brought up was a good point, that Ricky didn't jump last year. He was getting like 4th, 5th round grades. He didn't jump. What NIL is today, I don't know why these kids are still jumping. Leonard Taylor was a kid that went undrafted down in Miami. And the same sentiment, you know, like, why jump early? You could go make a couple $100,000 in college, still getting your education, still developing and working on your skill set. So if you're not hearing favorable draft grades, come back, transfer, do something. But taking that risk to go to the NFL and risk being cut and not getting nothing and still not having your education and things, it just doesn't make good business sense. So it's some business, and business is it's an easier decision to make to go pro or not go pro than it was in the past. So
we're seeing that more and more. You're getting, for years, we were getting every single year was a new record for undergraduates entering the NFL draft, and you're seeing that number not only stop but get smaller every year. You're 100% right. Like a guy like Ricky, you can make easily make six figures with roster security at your college. On top of, hey, maybe you end up taking enough classes that you end up, lucking your way into a degree as well. And now you've got a college degree from whatever university you were at. You had roster security. College football might be becoming more of a business, but like it's still sort of that time you're in college, you're living with your friends, and you're chasing girls out of the bars, and you're still living a college life before you. Why would you not be chasing girls at the bar?
Out of the bar, they're running away, screaming from you. You know what I mean?
Out at the bar. Daniel.
Oh, I know what you're saying.
Out at the bars.
Yeah, gotcha.
Dan might have saved you a cancellation, like on the smallest of keys, though.
If you're chasing girls out of the bar, you can get out of my university. You know what I mean?
Okay. What I mean is that college is just a fun time, and when you get to the next level, sure. You don't have to worry about homework and writing papers and stuff like that, but you're dealing with grown men trying to win a job over you because they have 3 children who need to be fed. You're dealing with a whole different level of person and competition. And it's a business. If you go undrafted, like Detroit might like Kingsley, but how much of that $200,000 is guaranteed? And if he rolls his ankle in training camp, see you, bud.
Yeah,
we'll find somebody who can play these next 3 weeks. It's just cutthroat.
I didn't get when he went pro. I thought he knew something we didn't know. To go undrafted is just, but shout out to him. I hope it all works out, but it just doesn't seem like the right decision right now.
I mean, he did it the right way, though. Like, he graduated. He has a degree. He's been in college a long time. I thought, if anything, he would transfer to a different school. Dan will tell you Dan will tell you they tell a regular student to go somewhere else for a graduate program. It makes sense. I didn't think he should have declared for the draft, and 32 NFL teams apparently didn't think he should have either.
Yeah, and as a center, there's obviously one spot. There's a lot of longevity at that position. It's just it's tough, right? And a lot of teams don't carry multiple centers unless you can also play guard or tackle. And it will be interesting to see, but probably not tackle as much, more guard. I'll be interested to see how he transitions to that Detroit Lions team. Maybe he makes practice squad, maybe he blows things out of the water. But I think that $20,000 signing bonus is probably the only thing that's guaranteed. And then as long as you're on the roster, you're going to get paid. But that $225, that's a lot of money. But once you start putting agent fees in there, taxes, everything else, you start to question. But, he did get his degree, and, hopefully there's an opportunity for him in the NFL. Russell Swick, who's a subscriber of this channel, I appreciate you, had a pretty funny comment here. He said, I'm a little more optimistic about the fall because of Nick's lies about baseball. And Ricky, maybe he's just as wrong about the offensive line. But one of the things that we did want to talk about is we just mentioned – Russ. Yeah. We mentioned 3 names there that got signed out of the Florida Gators recruiting class that was available this year. We're going to pull up the 2019 Florida Gators roster here, not roster, recruiting class. And I remember last year we got some criticism because we said that we would never compare Dan Mullen's recruiting to Billy Napier's recruiting. And I think that this does a pretty good job of explaining why. You look through this class, Chris Steele transferred right away. Kyrie Elam, a first-round draft pick to the Buffalo Bills. Chris Bogle. Nick, why don't you go through this? Chris Bogle on his 6th year. He's at Michigan State now. Tyron Hopper got drafted.
Just got drafted.
Yep.
Keon Zipper, 6th year. Mahmoud Diabate did 5 years, transferred to Utah. He's on the roster. He's on the Browns roster right now. Jaden Hill, injuries, 6th year at Texas A&M. Naquan Wright, I think, he's still at USF, 6th year. Jalen Humphreys, I don't know where he is. Probably still playing college. Lloyd Summerall, 6th year. Jalen Jones is quarterbacking Charlotte. Michael Tarquin, 6th year.
This is nasty.
William Harrod, I don't know where he is, but these are guys that were
This reeks.
3- and 4-star guys. So when I go through and look, Chester Kimbrough, Deontay Marks, did he ever get to Florida? Jamarcus Weston's on his 6th year. Riley Simmons just before his 6th year announced that he will be
a war criminal.
Riley Simmons announced that he will be coaching for Billy Napier. He'll be a student coach. Josiah Pierre, Kingsley Watkins just graduated. Trent Whittemore. I don't think he's at UCF anymore, but
I think he probably is done.
Not in the NFL. Ethan White, not in the NFL. DeJuan Black, not in the NFL. Wardrick Wilson, RJ Henderson, De'Ave Hammond, 3 guys, 3-star, 4-star guys who bump your class up, bump your ratings up, never made it to campus, never stepped foot, never laced up an orange and blue cleat. And that was an overarching theme, I think, for Dan Mullen's classes. And it worked at Mississippi State. Like, DeJuan Black ended up coming to Florida, but there was no way DeJuan Black was ever getting into Florida out of high school. I don't think he ever took an ACT or an SAT. He was not going to get in, goes to community college. It becomes a good story when you get him out of community college and you have that relationship. But Dan Mullen and his staff recruited at the University of Florida the way that they recruited at Mississippi State. And it was okay at Mississippi State. You had time. You needed to do some of that. At the University of Florida, you didn't need to do that. I think the NFL draft, the fact that Florida had one player drafted from its roster, and that being Ricky Pearsall, who was a player that Billy Napier and his staff recruited out of the transfer portal, drafted. And then the only other player, former Gator, that was drafted was Tyron Hopper out of Missouri. I don't know if you claim him or if Missouri claims him or if everyone claims him. That's how it works now with the portal.
I think you'll probably claim Missouri over Florida.
Yeah, definitely Missouri.
Yeah, I think it goes to show what Dan Mullen was doing. And he came in and won a ton of football games with Jim McElwain's guys. And then when it came time, year 4, to start playing with and winning with the guys that he and his staff had recruited the last 3 years, he couldn't. And Billy takes over a roster. We've talked about it a ton that didn't have any discipline in the locker room.
Talent looks like
guys doing whatever they wanted to do, and clearly the talent was not where it needed to be. So
let's look at 2020 as well.
Not good class either.
Much different, right? Gervon Dexter
is great.
Gerv was great. Derek Wingo, he's on his 5th year. Xavier Henderson is at Cincinnati, and a lot of people had really high hopes for him. He's still there. Jahari Rogers transferred. Jaquavion Frazier's. I think some people would like that here. Ethan Pouncey, he just announced that he's transferring. Anthony Richardson, Antoine Powell Ryland, he'll be coming back from injury. Princely, he transferred. Josh Braun transferred, had an okay year, probably at Arkansas. Mordecai McDaniel transferred. Kamar Wilcoxon transferred. Rashad Torrance,
Yeah, dog. Really need time, dog.
Avery Helm, Jalen Lee. Isaiah Walker, he transferred. Lamar Goods, Trevez Johnson, Fenley Graham, Richie Leonard, Jonathan Odom, Gerald Mincy, Jeremy Crawshaw, Johnny Brown, right? I mean, yeesh.
Yeah. Never made it to campus. Like, that's what I was talking about. Like, there's just a bunch of guys that, like, we knew as fans, as media, and the staff knew we're never going to get to campus, good grades or one thing or another, and you just took them anyway. They were 4 stars, and they fluffed up the class, made the numbers look pretty.
People got to recognize too, like, and 2 things can be true. Like, Billy may not be the guy to turn this thing around, right? But having back-to-back classes, like, as abysmal as that, is like generational.
Classes after you went to New Year's Six Bowl, New Year's Six Bowl, New Year's Six Bowl. You're not like selling a vision. You're making phone calls. I remember being at the Cotton Bowl and Dan Mullen's FaceTiming Gervon Dexter like on the field. And I'm like, this thing's going to keep rolling. Like Dan's winning. He's sending guys FaceTimes, sending recruits FaceTimes, text messages from NFL stadiums while playing in the biggest bowl games. This thing's going to keep going. And for one reason or another, these guys either didn't pan out, they were they were ranked higher than they should have been, or they weren't developed once they got to campus.
No, but we knew at the time we were settling on a lot of these guys. We would miss on our top targets, and it looks like a 4-star, but all 4 stars aren't equal. Right. You got to look at who you missed on the board and settle for this so-called 4-star, and that's what we were doing a lot at that time, whiffing and settling for guys that wanted to be Gators. No, you got to go win those battles, man, and compete with the top guys at the top, or you just get a fluff class with a decent average, but none of it pans out. And they didn't pan out elsewhere. A lot of these kids transfer and fizzle elsewhere.
Right. Yeah, I'm trying to go back to when the last time the Gators had a really good hit ratio. I guess maybe 2017, when you had TJ Slayton, Marco Wilson still in the NFL. CJ Henderson was a first-round draft pick. Brad Stewart played in the NFL. Zach Carter. Malik Davis still in the NFL. Sean Davis, Ventrell Miller, Kadarius Toney, James Houston.
Oh, that class is legit.
Yeah, that was the last time that the Gators had a decent.
KT was in that class.
I said that. Yep.
This is McElwain.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's what I mean. So from 2018 until now, 2018's not as bad of a hit ratio. If we'll pull that up here. Jacob Copeland obviously didn't pan out, went to Maryland. I think he went to the NFL. Not sure he's still on a roster. Richard Garage, Emory Jones, he got signed by the Ravens.
Yeah,
Nick?
undrafted.
Emory Jones, yeah.
Undrafted
Ravens.
time of the raid. Justin Watkins never made it to campus. Trey Dean, I know he's on the practice squad last year. Don't know where he's at now. He's with the Chiefs, I think. Obviously, Kyle Pitts, Andrew Chatfield, nothing came of. Damian Pierce, Amari Burney, Noah Banks, no idea what happened to him. Malik Langham, same thing. Iverson Clement, I know he transferred to Rutgers. David Reese never panned out. Randy Russell obviously had his health issues. John Huggins never amounted to anything. Chris Bleich, don't even remember that name.
Huggins left. There were some
that's right.
Allegations.
Yeah.
That's right.
He ended up going to Dion. I think he went somewhere else, I believe. But I did think he got a shot at the NFL. I could be wrong, but still, like nothing major.
Griffin McDowell. He got picked up as a free agent this year out of Chattanooga. Pardon me. Evan McPherson, and then Lucas Kroll, who is playing in the NFL right now as well. But you just look at these classes, and it's not a great foundation. Now, I know the opposite is, hey, you can now get guys out of the transfer portal a lot easier and everything else, but you still need to have that foundation to build off of. So not totally wiping the slate clean of blame here on rebuilding these rosters, but
I think it almost looks like Dan let recruiting services like do their evaluations.
You know who did that a little bit? Obviously, it worked out a lot better for him. It was Urban Meyer.
Yeah.
Towards
Jeremy Finch is the only reason.
Jeremy Finch is the best name. He looked to see who was the highest rated uncommitted safety in the country, and they got Jeremy Finch.
Yeah. They didn't in their evaluations, they didn't have Finch that high. I believe there was a class with Major or some other safeties in that class.
Yeah, D. Finley was in that class.
Right.
D. Finn, Dan's boy.
He is my boy.
I think what we've seen though is that while the number of 5-stars have stayed pretty consistent, the 4-star class, that bubble has boomed. Like there are just more and more 4-stars. So while 5-stars, I think, are still made the same and graded the same, we're just giving all kinds of 4-stars out.
Well, now there's ESPN On3, 247 Rivals. So there's at least 4 services now ranking, and obviously everybody's going to look at whatever services ranks their player the highest, right? So beyond just the sheer number that's been given out, it's that sheer number adding an additional service in there as well. But yeah, no. So obviously terrible foundation. We like to think that based on the results that Florida should have some more success in their recruiting classes and converting into the NFL. But Nick, when you brought that up, you just go through and it's just a blast from the past of names that, we probably hyped on this here show, right? Chris Blige committed. Let's go. Offensive lineman. And,
I don't remember ever saying that.
So you don't remember that one?
Nah, I can't make a lie about a guy named Blige.
Unique 863 said a lot of that 2018 class was pre-established with McElwain. And that is 100% true. Florida had the opportunity to kill that class, and they
shout out to Flow Factory's conversation with Zach Carter. You guys brought that up to Zach. Jamar Chase and you didn't bring this one up. Jamar Chase could have been in that class. No, Matt Corral was was going to be the high school quarterback of that class.
Right.
A couple of death threats later, and the class falls apart.
I think Matt Corral's lighting it up in the UFL right now. I think I saw him on TV a couple weeks ago when I was at the bar.
Shout out to Matty Ice.
He lit it up in college though. Like I think.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure.
If you look at what he did in college, and this is we just having a good little time. Go check out that Zach Carter interview. He also gave some insight, caught some flack on saying that we need some more gangsters in the locker room and whatnot. But there's some validity to that as well. There's a certain edge that I'm missing as a fan from our locker room. But McElwain, I thought like the offense and style of offense just looked outdated and it never clicked. And we were still surviving off of Muschamp's defense in a lot of ways. While he was starting to pick things up in recruiting, we had the quarterback debacle. It's just like to play things back in retrospect. Like our quarterback room was Del Rio, Appleby. It was a whole lot of nonsense. The Will Greer debacle. It's just always some shenanigans happening around Gator football with every coach. It seemed that there's always some type of controversy, and that was his thing at the time. And the pressure built, and then next thing you know, the death threat thing got shouted out. So the next guy come in. Dan just really didn't. This was a job for him to get to the NFL, and you can see that from the recruiting. He won right away with some of McElwain's evals, which was dope. But he dug us a hole. Whoever was coming here, if you have 3 recruiting classes back to back to back of just guys that aren't really good and it's just fluff, 3 classes of fluff. That next guy coming in, we're seeing the draft like reflect a lot of that. The last 2 drafts has been almost nothing. 2 guys that one of the guys Mullen wouldn't start, kept him on the bench saying he wasn't ready, and the other guy is somebody that Billy Napier pulled out of the transfer portal.
Yeah, I think we always said that about McElwain's recruiting. While like the quarterback situation with Del Rio, Appleby, if the NCAA just doesn't come and drug test that week, like how different, what's the ripple effect of like not having to start Treon Harris? Was it Treon Harris after Will Greer?
Yeah.
Not having to start Treon, Will Greer not transferring. What's the butterfly effect of that? But I think even at the time, we always said like, hey, that McElwain staff had some really good evaluations. Michael Pirine, Gus Malzahn told him he was too slow. Pirine showed Gus to his face in the swamp that he was not too slow. Like they had some good evaluations, and they were almost like the scouting department for a bunch of other schools. Like Florida would get on a kid, would offer a kid early in the cycle, and then all of a sudden it'd be like, what? He only has like a Kentucky offer, and then all of a sudden Alabama, Georgia, Texas, Ohio State.
Yeah, everybody laughed when they offered Tony, and then Tony started going crazy his senior year, and it all started making sense. And now he's in the NFL, and the rest is history. But
hey, they love the state of Alabama. They recruited up and down the state of Alabama.
You gotta when you're not like recruiting at a high level and you can't beat the Bamas, you gotta out eval people, and that's what they did a good job of just out evaling people.
I think
for a little bit.
Billy Napier's doing a good job of out evaling some folks, and he's had a pretty good hit ratio. Now it's just a matter of putting it all together and winning some football games, right?
Yeah, I mean,
that's obviously the most important thing, but I think that there's a lot of great takes that they've had, or people that they were on early, whether they came to the University of Florida or not. There was a lot of players that these guys have scouted that have turned out to be really good. So now it's just a matter of putting it all together on the field. And I know that that's obviously an integral part of keeping your job as a head football coach, but the evaluations do seem to be a lot better. And then I think one prevailing thing that we continue to mention was how many people of those recruiting classes never even made it to campus, right? There was grades issues. There was visa issues, which I didn't know was like a thing that we dealt with at the college football level. But there's a lot of class that was just pure fluff, right? And you start to take out the people that didn't make it to campus. All of a sudden, those classes are in the 20s and 30s. And when you're winning 10 games going to New Year's Six bowls, is unacceptable.
Now, you can make an argument that in the era we're in with the transfer portal, that you could have turned the roster over quicker. Made that argument, I think, against Billy Napier. If you're a little more cutthroat and you just tell so-and-so, like, hey, you're never going to play here. We're not renewing your scholarship. You got to go. And you recruit over guys. You could have done that to a bunch of guys, and maybe you could have been able to flip the roster faster.
Mm-hmm.
We're sitting here April 29th. The portal closes. There's not going to be a ton more movement. Florida's, I think, right up against the 85 right now.
I think we're 84,
right at 84,
right?
84 maybe. They're going to get, I think, one or two guys more in the portal. But like the roster is what it is. You could have, would have, should have, can't cry over spilled milk. You could have changed the roster more drastically. I mean, look what Dion did. Got to Colorado and like pulled to Coach Cal. Like I talked to the team. There is no team. Everyone's gone. And we're rebuilding. But he didn't. Built it slowly. And mainly through high school, using the portal as a supplement. Yep. Still eating your chicken and rice and supplementing with some multivitamins through the portal.
Yeah, I think it was dealt the perfect hand of like Billy built a regime and his staff around what college football used to be. I think like if you build this style of staff with as many people maybe coming in like to Mullen's area, it's like we always behind an era. Like that's what it seemed like it's been like the last like 10 years or 12 years or so as a Florida fan. Like we've been a step behind.
You go back like 15, 20 years because that's when like the arms race started with facility.
Yeah, and it just seemed like we've just been behind, a step behind, a few years behind in every capacity. And I think like Billy's staff sounded good to everybody that was hiring him, and the style of what he wanted to build sounded good because that's what it was. Like building big staffs, the focus wasn't on player acquisition, and NIL is what it is these days. There's whole rosters being flipped annually. And we can look at Dion or any other coach and saying, yo, this is bad. This is like you need to do it through high school recruiting. Only thing that matters in this sport is winning. You know, that's how you keep your jobs. That's how you keep recruiting. That's how you stay on top. That's how like the bills get paid is through winning. So whatever you got to do to win like fast is what it is these days. And the urgency in the NIL, urgency in the transfer portal just hasn't been there. We got an opportunity right now to go get a couple guys. The receiver that's coming out of ASU, I'm forgetting his name off the top of my head right now.
Elijah Badger.
Yeah, I had a big Kush morning, so it's a little foggy. But going after him, he's a coveted guy. We have an offensive lineman that we can go close on, like closing on those type of guys in the portal, guys that are immediate impact players is not something I've seen from us. The players that we went to in those regards in the skill positions, we hit on a little bit, like receiver, running back with Montreal, all the guys from Louisiana early on, we hit on. Billy being hands-on and knowing those guys, them knowing the system helped us out right away. But outside of that, the coveted guys, the guys that the contenders are after, we haven't been in that market. And until we get into that market, that's the only way we're going to really flip and get some immediate wins and get this thing on the right track. Right now, it's a slow grind. This is crock pot cooking what we're doing right now.
Absolutely. I would be remiss to say that former Florida Gators legend quarterback Micah Leon has also gotten a training camp invite for the Miami Dolphins.
Our Miami Dolphins.
Our Miami Dolphins.
The NFL team of the podcast.
That's right.
No, Jaguar Show and Lorenzo
No,
Lingard got an invite as well. Shout out to
Yeah,
Lingard,
Lorenzo
man.
Lingard got an invite. We failed to mention him. Hopefully he gets the opportunity to make the roster, maybe work Travis Etienne out of a job. You know what I mean?
I wouldn't mind that right now, man. Etienne family hasn't been good to me, man.
Let's see here. I want to get your guys' thoughts. I want to talk about kind of the NFL draft for next season, who you guys might have. I don't want to spring that question on you guys without a little thought. Let's do a quick ad read while you guys think who might be some notable players drafted next year. So, but before we do that, let's give a shout out to our friends over at Alumni Hall. Go visit alumnihall.com. Use promo code Stadium and Gale at checkout. You'll get 15% off of your order, about 20 different items for the University of Florida, as well as about 100 different colleges and universities around the country, as well as the Indianapolis Colts, softest cotton, best retro logos on the market. Go check out homefieldapparel.com. Use promo code Stadium and Gale at checkout. Again, homefieldapparel.com, promo code Stadium and Gale. Nick, you sent me this from Jim Nagy, who runs the Senior Bowl. He said that these are the top 12 quarterbacks in the Power Four, in no particular order, that he has in the mix for a trip to Mobile next year. And on that list is Graham Mertz. So with that being said, gentlemen, Graham Mertz obviously is a guy that has revived his career at the University of Florida, an opportunity potentially for him to make the NFL, get drafted. Who do you guys have on your list of names that might get drafted and drafted highly next season?
Highly is going to be a little
Tough.
Yeah. But I got Montreal to get drafted. I think Graham Mertz will get drafted. Depending on what type of year Austin Barber has, he has a potential of getting drafted.
Mm-hmm.
That's offense for me. It gets a little shaky after that, but that's three or four on offense. On defense, of course, Cam Jackson, Slackman, both of the upperclassmen guys, I think will get opportunity to be drafted, and then possibly Jason Marshall, depending on the year he has. But that's all I have right now. Everybody else I think should be coming back, including like Devin Moore because of his injuries. I mean, he could explode and have a big year. And then, Shamar James. I'm tripping. Shamar James could potentially play his way into, first round, but I got him as like a second round, third round guy right now.
Did you mention Cam Jackson potentially?
Yeah, defensive tackle. He'll be a senior. Yeah. I think he's a guy that could possibly go. But Shamar, I think, would be our highest possible guy on draft day.
Yeah, I think Jason Marshall has a make or break year. I know a lot of people thought, there were some mock drafts that going into last season that had him as potentially a top 15, top 20 pick. I think that he has the NFL body. Now it's a matter of skill set and aptitude and attitude for him. Nick, do you have any other names that are potentially on that list for yourself?
Yeah, I was just running through them. Mertz, Montrell, Slackman, Traquez Bridges, DJ Douglas, Asa Turner, Brandon Crenshaw Dixon, Jason Marshall, Cam Jackson, Austin Barber is a potential if he can have a healthy season. He's a guy who, if he was healthy, wanted to go into this past draft, but just did not play anywhere near healthy all year long. And then Shamar, I think that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 potential guys. I remember talking with somebody at Florida's Pro Day being like, this is one of the saddest pro days I've been at the University of Florida. And then talking with them about like what the pro day will look like next year. And I think next year, a ton of guys.
Yeah.
You guys
somewhat normal.
You guys would be surprised to hear this, that Walter Football rated Damian George as the 8th best tackle prospect in the 2025 NFL draft class. He's obviously a guard now, but yeah, that's I watch more tape. I've immediately put Walter Football on my fade on sight list.
I put him on our block list. About to block that boy. He don't know what he talking about. He ain't even about to play tackle for us.
No.
No. Quick
Actively
shout out.
looking for other people to play guard on top of him or ahead of him.
Yeah, JP, all this sounds like the Gators are playoff bound. Let's go, boys. Appreciate the super
Lion
chat there,
season.
JP. Nick,
Lion season, JP.
it's Lion
Start
season
lying in
for
my
the
birthday
boys.
month. July, I start lying. I'm not lying right now.
Mm-hmm.
If matter of fact, if we get Elijah Badger, I'm down to lie a little bit. I'm gonna crank up my lies and pull out the hate on these Twitter streets a little bit. But right now, I need some targets. I need some weapons. Miami got a little active this weekend. Nothing I'm afraid of.
Yes.
We just need some weaponry as well. That's all.
Yeah, let's go ahead.
I think I can pull it up pretty quickly.
Pause. Paul. P-A-U.
Pull that up. Pull that up. Let's see. Miami.
W-S.
You don't have to keep saying it.
In the last 24 hours, Miami got running back Damian Martinez, who was ranked as our top available player in the portal. Wide receiver Sam Brown, top wide receiver in the portal.
Sam Brown's the guy that we whiffed on and went to West Virginia, right, out of like clear blue sky.
To Houston or some shit.
And then he transferred to Houston after that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, he went to West Virginia, then Houston? Okay.
Yeah.
Linebacker Jalen Alderman was one of the top linebackers in the portal. Cornerback, how do I say this name? Dione Hill, who had 55 tackles and an interception in 2023. So 1, 2, 3, 4 pretty highly coveted players in the from the portal. Interesting.
Yeah, that Miami beat writer line that they had to toe, for so long about developing players rather than going to a place where you'll just recruit transfers over them. I know that them and FSU were kind of battling it out on the media streets. Seems to be changing a little bit. So let's talk a little bit about where the Florida Gators might be with their transfer portal targets. Obviously, we've mentioned on this show that Manny Nunnery has entered the transfer portal. Do not believe he has found a home yet. Riley Simmons is going to retire from football and is going to be joining the staff as a coaching student coaching assistant. And then Ethan Pouncey is going to be transferring as well. He put his name in the portal. Obviously, that means you need to find a suitor, but we will update you guys when we hear that. I believe we talked about it last show, but Justice Ross Simmons, the wide receiver from Colorado State that looked at Florida, did commit to Syracuse. There was some questions about his transcripts about ability to get into University of Florida. So he's going to Syracuse. Two names right now that we are following is Jason Zandamela. He's an offensive lineman from USC. Right now, it seems like he is between the University of Central Florida and the University of Florida. He visited Florida this weekend, and we got a very rare occurrence. Nick put in a crystal ball for Jason Zandamela to come to University of Florida.
Y'all got crystal balls now, bro?
Or a recruiting prediction machine pick.
Let me see if I can pull up my RPMs. My RPMs are good.
Yeah, because you don't do them very often. You don't put yourself out there.
My RPM grade is solid.
You got like 5 picks.
I think 6, and I think I'm 5 of 6. Cormani's my only whiff.
The guy's struggling to find a home right now.
Just don't think the market is what he thought it would be.
Man, he waits a little longer. Give him a call. Like, fuck like, try to figure it out, man.
I do think Florida is sitting in a really good spot with Jason Zandamela. Originally from Mozambique, Africa, moved to the United States in 2020. Lives with a host family in Clearwater. I think he thought, listen, I'd already moved from Africa to Clearwater, moving from Clearwater to LA, not going to be a big deal. Got out there, and I think he realized, like, hey, this is different. Living on my own, 2,000 miles away from home. He's really only considering Florida and UCF. Went to UCF on a visit. Everyone that I talked to about that visit thought it went well. Everyone on the UCF staff, Gus's staff, felt confident. I just think when he got to Florida, he had been to Florida for a couple games. He's already gotten that game experience, that whole day, circus, party, tailgate, the experience in the swamp for a game, has already gotten that. This was more about seeing the school, seeing the campus, getting to sit down with the coaching staff, getting to see the building, getting to see the facilities and what a day-to-day would be like. He spent a lot of time with Jake Slaughter. Good guy to have show you around as he enters his, I think, 4th year. And having been to both UCF and now at Florida, I can tell you that the facilities are much better at Florida. And I think getting to see that at Florida, you're also, I think, 140 miles away from Clearwater. It's only 40 miles more than Orlando. I think Florida will win out for Jason Zamandela. I don't know that it's the plug and play right guard, that I said you needed in the transfer portal, but a highly rated player, a lot of room to grow. Like, was playing rugby until 2020. Has been playing football for less than 3-4 years. Seeing him in person, I don't know if he's as big as he's listed, but good size. Just don't know if he's like, that full 6'4", or that's 6'4" in cleats.
Yeah, have him at 6'3", 6'4", 306 pounds. He's the number 7 player in the transfer portal rankings right now, the number 1 interior offensive lineman. When he was a prospect, he was the number 46 overall player in the country. So definitely athletic, definitely a guy that is still needing to grow and learn the game, but the kind of players that you probably want to win with for the future. And that goes back to our discussion last week about either you're going to leave a hell of a roster for the next coach, or you're going to be able to stick around long enough to see these guys develop. So that's the major elephant in the room there. And I want to touch on this topic that Nathaniel Rogers said. Dan, you said last week it wasn't hard to get into University of Florida. We were talking about recruiting high school players from a transfer perspective. There's other things that come into that, especially when it comes to degree programs and credits to be able to be admitted into that university. So there's the longer you've been in college, the more complications that could potentially arise. This doesn't even need to be necessarily that his grades were bad. He could just not have the right credits to be able to transfer into a certain university. And when you're coming in at a certain year 3, year 4, year 5, there's prerequisite requirements to be a part of that college that he may not have, and they may not have been able to overcome. I say all that not knowing exactly what the issues were, just saying that that's what the prevailing topic of conversation was, of why he couldn't come to the University of Florida. Again, that assumes that he was going to come to the University of Florida to begin with. So there's a lot when you don't know the full story, and when you don't see transcripts and you're not involved in the room. Sometimes there's other things that get talked about instead of the actual issue as well.
There's also like credits towards graduation. So you might be in great academic standing, and the school you're trying to transfer to just doesn't have that as an undergraduate degree.
Right.
So you might be in great academic standing, but now you're going to have to switch majors. You're in your 4th year of college, but when you switch majors, well, shoot, you've got a minor, but now you are a first semester sophomore in the classroom, starting a new major, which I know Grayson McCall from Coastal Carolina ran up against with a couple of schools when he tried to transfer. It's just that you didn't have enough credits towards graduation.
This is another thought too. The football programs, usually he said if Alabama won them, they would have made it happen. It's not as simple as that either. These universities don't just allow the football program and the basketball program to just do carte blanche, whatever they want. It's just not, it's not as easy to do that as kind of the prevailing thought might be. So it's institution to institution. And at the end of the day, recruiting, this is the take, right? Recruiting as a high school recruit, Florida is not that much, if any, harder than most major college programs in the country. When you're coming in from a transfer, put that aside, and now you're starting to match college and program up to student and program that they're trying to get into. You start to introduce other variables that don't exist, from whether you're just a high school graduate or not, whether you have a certain score, whether that meets the NCAA sliding scale as well. So when you start introducing transfers in their third, fourth, fifth, even sixth year, you start to add variables that don't exist for high school players or first or maybe even second year players. Also, I don't know. Do you guys think that he would have made a good addition to the room, Justice Ross Simmons, or just another body?
No, I like this game a little bit.
Yeah.
Didn't have top end speed. I do like Badger more. It seems more explosive, faster, can stretch some things. While Justin Ross, he didn't have top end speed. He did separate okay, and when he didn't separate, he caught a lot of contested balls, but not a great loss, man. We do need a receiver, so if we missed out on Badger, then that loss is definitely detrimental. But if we could get Badger, I think we'll be okay.
Badger, from what I'm told by several people, is going to be who writes the biggest check.
Well, we got an opportunity. I just said last week in NIL, we seem to fold our tent and get a little soft when it's time to drop big bags in the NIL or in the transfer portal. His opportunity to upgrade the roster. Graham Mercer's shown that he could deliver. He just needs weapons around him. He needs an offensive line. He needs a supporting cast. He's not Michael Vick, but he's shown that he can deliver the ball and move the chains, be a leader, get the guy some weapons, bro.
Yeah, and me saying that they need both a receiver is coming from straight inside the building. It's not my opinion. I do think I like Andy Jean. This has been an Andy Jean hype podcast for 2 years now. So like I like Andy, but just didn't get to see him at all because of the hamstring injury. And I think they were looking for somebody with some experience that can come in and start or compete for a starting job with DK and Khalil Jackson. No one's competing for Trey's Eugene Wilson's spot, but if you can find someone that can compete with those other two, they're going to go get them. Badger's a stud. You just send him all the Ricky Pearsall stuff. Send him Ricky's number. Let Ricky help you recruit. But listen, man, I know you're looking for a bag right now, but I just got a very nice 31st overall bag from coming and playing at Florida. So it's a good spot to be. He's definitely a player I like.
Yeah, Elijah Badger, about 1,500 yards receiving over the last 2 seasons, is going to come in as a senior. I know Texas A&M is after him, but I know there's just there's not a lot of news about him just yet. I know South Carolina is going to potentially be going after him as well. So, yeah, just trying to see if there's anything else.
Get aggressive, go get the bags. If you want to win and win now, get some momentum, because having another losing season is just not good for the overall program, recruiting, like selling. This thing being flipped around, it gets harder and harder each year. So you need to bring in some guys that can help us win games this fall, man. That's just my take. And I don't think we've done enough of that this offseason.
Bro, shout out to ABC Kids. I probably am right 90% of the time.
You got one fan, bro. You got one.
If not 95.
ABC Kids is probably your wife.
Shout out to my wife.
Nick is proven 90% correct all the time.
Facts are facts.
All right. I think that leads us. So we'll see. We'll wait on Jason Zandamela, that announcement in the not too distant future. Elijah Badger, Florida's made contact. I don't believe that there's any other visits scheduled for that or for him just yet. Any other names, Nick, that the Gator fan base should be keeping a watchful eye on? The transfer portal closes tomorrow, right? When it comes to entering.
Yeah. So the transfer portal, the April 30th, Tuesday, April 30th is the last day you can enter the portal. That just means firing off a text message to your compliance office to say, hey, I want to go in the portal. They have 48 hours to push through all of that paperwork. So you'll continue getting, as we get into May, first week of May, so-and-so's enter the transfer portal. Also, it's finals week. I know at the University of Florida, it's finals week. God bless that summer A exodus from campus. Traffic is just beautiful. Elite levels of no traffic for summer A. So looking forward to that. But I bring that up because as finals happen and guys graduate, you can enter the transfer portal as a graduate whenever. It doesn't matter. The portal does not need to be open. So while the portal will close April 30th, I think you'll get guys who are graduating that will go into the portal even after the portal window has closed.
Are we expecting any from our end?
I mean, yeah, like I look at a guy like Keon Zipperer, like you should be getting close to graduating. I don't know if he is or isn't. I'm not his student advisor. But to me, it's just very confusing as to why you haven't been able to come back and practice. Had ACL surgery 18 months ago.
No. You've left us speechless. All right. I think that brings us towards the end of today's show. Nick, you have a very quick second to talk about baseball after I do this ad read. Stoke, you have Song of the Week, so I'll be thinking about that. As always, want to show love to our friends over at Alumni Hall. Go visit alumnihall.com or go visit them on Archer Road in Gainesville, Florida. Again, alumnihall.com is going to be your best source for anything that you need Florida Gator related, from t-shirts to polos to golf polos to accessories to gifts of any kind, grilling accessories, tailgate supplies, whatever it might be. Go visit alumnihall.com or go visit them on Archer Road in Gainesville, Florida. Nick, baseball.
Yeah, it's a Florida goes 1-2 last week, 1-2 on the weekend, playing at number 2 Arkansas. Should have one on Saturday, and then one on Sunday. So should have won a series. Would have been a massive road win over number 2 Arkansas. Ultimately, the same little things. Florida finds ways to lose games. They don't play fundamentally sound winning baseball on a consistent basis. So we just see the same things happen week after week. Another opportunity, they need to stack wins. So right now I think they are 22-21 and 9. I'm pulling it up right now, and 9-12 in the conference. I don't know. They're going to need to win at least 4 more conference games. They play Tennessee at home, Kentucky at home. Kentucky is tied with Arkansas for the number 1 team in the SEC. They're having a fantastic year. And then 3 at Georgia. So you've got 9 more conference games. I think you need to win 4 or 5 would be really good. 5 of those, which would be winning your 2 home series and then taking 1 at Georgia. I think this is a week where Florida could and should go 3-1. Tennessee is very good, but Florida plays well at home. The schedule is off again this week. So Tuesday, FAU. Thursday night, the Tennessee series starts. So they'll play Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
All right. And were the Gators losing at any point on Saturday in game 2?
Yes. Florida has trailed in every single SEC game this season.
It's absolutely incredible. Not the stats you like to hear. All right, Silk, you have Song of the Week. Before we do that, thanks everybody for chiming in the chat, watching on YouTube. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button before you leave, and make sure that you follow us on all of our social media channels and everything else. We will be getting a bunch of guests on for you this off season. But Silk, take us out with Song of the Week.
Let me get Imported Couches by Larry June.
Perfect.
Chill. Numbers. Good job, Larry.
All right. All right, guys. Well, we'll see you at the same corner, same time next week. Have a great rest of your day.